Welcome to Rotten Potatoes with Bryce
and Forrest.
And we're here to ruin your favorite movies, TV shows, and video games.
Today we're doing Reservation Dogs.
Yeah. As you can see, we have a new setup. This is permanent. We're living together now. I'm just kidding.
If only.
Again, yeah. Now, this is a special episode of coolness and whatnot. It's whatever. But yeah, so Reservation Dogs. It's on Hulu.
Yep.
So it's Hulu FX type deal. And it's about the reservation, about Native Americans, about Oklahoma.
Kids growing up on the reservation, kind of the difficulties and struggles they face as they grow up, and kind of a view into that life and what it's all about. Kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty lit. It started out, you don't really know what's going on. You just know that these, 4 kids?
Yeah.
Are just like very desperate to make it to California. Like
right.
you don't understand why or anything like that. It's really, you don't know until, the second to last episode? It really kind of, well, I think maybe the third to last when they go hunting and stuff like that. It's
yeah,
roughly. But the cool piece to it is that it's very there's a lot of comedy to it, but there's also a lot of like seriousness and just like it's well rounded, I guess. Like it, like it's not like there's comic relief to it. I mean, it's like straight comedy. Then there's like parts where it's like straight serious. And, you got your jabs here and there that kind of make it that much better. But I think second episode it's got Bobby Lee in it.
Yeah, true.
As the doctor, the optometrist, the everything, ologist.
Right.
And it was very Bobby Lee fashion, which I thought was very funny. That
right.
I even started growing the ponytail, and he's like, "I just want to get out of here.
I hated it.
I want to see my people."
But I think the show was really, really well made. Like, it's probably one of the better made shows that I've seen in a while.
It has a director that you're in love with,
Taika Waititi.
Yeah, Taika Waititi.
That's how you say his name. Everything he touches is gold, straight up.
Yeah, he's like who made The Mandalorian?
I don't know.
I can't think of his name now.
But
both of them are both very great.
Yeah, I mean, the show, it's witty, it's fun, everything's connected. Everything you see, make sure you pay attention because you're gonna see it later on, connect to the story somewhere else. And there's also small little teasers throughout the whole thing where it's the same things get brought up over and over and over again. So if you pay attention, you're gonna see the same things and understand where it is and where it came from and all these different things. It's really cool.
And a good chunk of it's small pieces. For instance, I didn't catch it till watching it again, and that's how much we loved it. I think we ended up watching it all the way through twice. Yeah. So before we even did this, that's why it's coming out so late, because we're like, let's just watch one more time, to see if there's anything we missed. Because truly, watched it the first time, and I thought I had a good grasp on it, and then I watched it the second time, I don't remember. This is added. There's no way that this was originally in the original run, because it's just little things that pop in. For example, what's his name? The one that made all the copper angels and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, the guy was going around town dropping them off and
yeah, he's passed out on a bench. And he looks homeless, and they're like, "What do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I was just reading my book and I passed out." And if you see anyone that's got string theory, that's my book. They stole it, and it's obviously doesn't look like he's an older guy and stuff like that. It doesn't look like he'd be a guy reading string theory or anything like that. So fast forward to the episode, and it's just it's a casual mention that oh yeah, I picked up this book, String Theory, and going over it, and it's these meth heads that obviously shouldn't have string theory either, but the dude wasn't lying. And the first time I watched it all the way through it, I was like, he's just some shit ass that it's sitting there lying, and then all of a sudden we watch it, and there it is, right in front of it. It's plain view, right there where you can see it, and then
Yeah.
They even mention it once or twice.
Like, I'm sure there's even things we didn't catch because, like, if we didn't catch that the first time through, like, what else did we not catch that they were just, like, placing in there for us to find, and, like, we didn't even find it. Which makes me want to watch it again even more because, like, they put that much time and effort into, like, all the different pieces of the show. Like, even, like, because, like, they have, like, the scenes where it's William Knifeman, and, like, they do, like, the different, like, scenes of him, like, talking to the kid and, like, what he should be doing and, like, what's going on. And, like, just that on its own was enough to, like, make the show gold. And, like, I don't know, it's just so many good pieces.
Which, like, I think that's the whole reason I even started. It's because I saw on TikTok the William Knifeman.
Yeah, it was going off for a long time on TikTok. There was a ton of stuff on there. They were just covering it from COD to live videos. They were just like, oh, it's William Knifeman, you know?
Yeah. And so, like, that's why I started on it. Then I started watching into it. And, you know, and every time...
Bless you.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Live sneeze.
Yeah, live sneeze. Like, every time that, you know, William Knifeman was on the screen, it was so great because it's just...
He's a great character. And the guy who plays him did it so well. Like, it was so good.
And it's awesome. So this is the first, I think, ever TV show or movie that has an all Native American writing cast. And so, you know, to be able to, it's not just like some other, you know, culture or background that's writing these, you know, these scripts and whatnot. So it's like people that have probably gone through the same struggles and the same, you know, just situations and understand what the res was and whatnot and kind of brought it out. Because even like when they showed the owl at Brownie's house, how like the eyes were blurted out. I thought that was, you know, very weird and strange, and it ends up being a part of you know, what's going on with, you know, the Native Americans and stuff like that. So it's just like folklore and tells of what's going on there.
Yeah. I mean, I think even the style of the way that they produced the show, like, even that on its own, like, was enough to make me want to watch it because it was just very well, like it looked good. Like, the whole, like, way it was shot was just beautiful. I don't know how to say it, but, like, it looked good. So, like, I think it's just, like, executive producers and producers, like, taking the time to, like, find a style they like and, like, match it to the show and the writing of the show. So,
and, you know, the crazy thing is, like, you know, this was written during, you know, like COVID and whatnot. So, like, the fact that they were able to do what they needed to do and get what was written out and you know, get the scenes that were shot all, you know, during COVID. Because I really feel like, you know, some of it was a little bit rushed. And I think it's probably because they had to cut, you know, recording time down. But I think they did such an amazing job, such a well job.
Yeah.
On, you know, just the producers, and then you look it up, and most of those actors, this is roughly one of their first shots or their first, you know, few goes at it,
right.
Which you can't tell when you're watching it. I mean, like, they are so, I think, well versed, and so, you know, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like it's acting. It seems like it's, you know, it's like, you know, they're seasoned actors that are doing the show,
right?
And so I think it's pretty awesome. You don't really see any hiccups. I mean, besides the whole, like, when they were hunting and they were crossing the barbed wire fence, they handed the rifle over a few times without, you know. You know,
and I mean, that's just things they didn't catch, right? Like, it's like the Game of Thrones coffee cup or whatever. Like, just small things that, like, make their way into a show that you don't even think about, you know. But, like, even that, like, if I saw that and I was like, that's the only thing that went wrong this whole time, like, great. But you're right, the whole show could have gone 12 or 16 episodes, and I would have watched them all easily.
Yeah, 100% over.
Because the last episode definitely felt a little rushed, and, like, the storyline was kind of pushed together, it felt like, and, like, she left for the city and all this stuff, and it was like, I don't know if that's really how they should have gone, because, like, it just seemed so abrupt.
Eyes. The final episode was definitely strange. But, you know, you go in and not a whole lot of, what was I going to say? I totally lost my train of thought. It was there, now it's gone. Dang, I don't know what I was gonna say. But truly, I mean, and it's very interesting. So, they're not even normal children or anything. They are, you have one that is a single mother, and then you have another one that has both her mom and dad, and then you have another one that I don't know. Like he technically has an uncle, but
you never meet him. I mean, he says he lives with his uncle because when he goes to the eye doctor clinic, they're like, "Who do you have? Or do you have parents? No. Do you have a grandma? No." He's like, "I have an uncle," but like, he doesn't strictly say he lives with his uncle or anything. He's just kind of like, "I have an uncle I stay with,"
So I'm pretty sure he lives on his own.
And so like he probably lives in whatever house his parents had or his grandma had or whatever it may be. But then he ends up making this connection with this old lady that was in the hospital that day, and like she calls him grandson. And eventually, like she's like, "Yeah, I know you're not my grandson, but even if you aren't, you are my grandson." Like I think it's just like part of that being part of that community and like sticking together thing.
Yeah, so. And yeah, because oh, you're my grandson. Like, where's your mom at? And all that stuff. And
she misses you.
Then he like takes her out, hangs out with her on the bench and what, or on the bench, and then goes and plays chess with her. Like,
yeah, and he's like, "I gotta tell you something. I'm leaving," and she's like, "Oh." And that's part of like why I think he decides to stay too. Is he's like, I don't know that this lady's even anything to me, but she's somebody that cares if he's there or not.
Right, it's all about the res culture. And I think the Hispanics have that same type of mentality that we're all in it together, and that we take care of our own, and we plant our own garden and see how it grows. And so I think that's why a lot of them don't want to leave. And I think Bear doesn't want to leave, but he wants to leave to be cool. Like, it's not.
I think he has a lot of reasons he wants to leave, and I think he has a lot of reasons he wants to stay. Because, like, I think he also wants to leave to try and connect with his dad, right? Because his dad's out in California.
Yeah.
And so he thinks that if he can go out there and meet up with him, he'll actually give a crap about him and care about him and, like, want to be his father. But we all know that's not true, and he doesn't give a crap about him. And we learned that.
Greasy fry bread.
And even if he learned that in the episodes, he really didn't. So, kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's just dad wanting his father to be involved in his life, knowing that it'll never happen. It's a struggle. It truly is. And then Eloise, whatever. I trouble with her name all the time.
She's kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
Actually, she like completely takes I can't see it. She completely ends up leaving and not caring about anybody. And she doesn't say bye to even like the families that helped her out while she was there. Like, yeah, her grandma seems like she doesn't give a crap about her at all and like doesn't care. But like Willie Jack's parents gave a crap about her and took care of her times. And so
I love Willie Jack's parents.
Yeah, and so did Bear's mom. Like Bear's mom's sitting with them all one night watching a movie. They're all hanging out, eating popcorn or whatever, and like that's just part of like her family. And like she just doesn't give a shit to say goodbye to any of them or like talk to him before she leaves. And it's just
it's so crazy to think because you hear all these stories about her mom, and her mom was so compassionate, caring, and loving, and was like such a big part of the community and whatnot. And so like to see that like her daughter is so much different than what she is, it's just absolutely nuts. And like you have old Bill Burr in there, and that episode I think was probably one of the saddest episodes.
Definitely.
Because that's a suicide in it too as well, right?
No.
Yeah, it does, because it pans back to her sitting on the car, and that's why she starts crying. She's not crying because of her mom. She's crying because of that. Yeah.
I don't know. But either way, like, that's one of the biggest spoilers of the show. But you also have to remember that, like, she went through that and, like, she found him and, like, mentally she's probably not all there right now and, like, still trying to process everything. It's been a year, but it's still fresh.
Well, that's what I thought was so odd is that he, like, committed suicide where they hung out. And they continued to hang out there like it was nothing. Like, I would have to go somewhere else. Like, there's no way in hell
never catch me hanging out there.
I would be staying at the same spot that, my supposed best friend passed away. Like, there's no...
Yeah, there's no way you get me there.
It's just, it was absolutely crazy that was... I was like, that's definitely not normal.
Right, and and it was... So, like, one thing that really bothered me was that the scene where she finds him, she has terrible acting in the scene because, like, she, like, steps in and she immediately, like, starts crying as she's looking towards him.
I never even realized that.
And it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But that's the only part of the show that I was like, trash. This is absolute trash. Because she literally starts crying before she's looking at Daniel. And, like, it's very obvious and bad, and I'm sorry, but it's just...
I guess I didn't realize that. Which I don't know.
Which made the scene feel less powerful. And it was supposed to be this crazy powerful scene, right? Where, like, they lose one of their best friends to suicide. And it just bothered me a little bit, I guess. I don't know.
I didn't even realize that. Like, I didn't see that piece.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so try to get off that low note into, somewhat of a high note. So Daniel is cousins with Willie Jack, and they go hunting with her dad every single year. And so kind of after he passed away, like, that was their tradition, so he didn't want to do it anymore. But it was just awesome to see, like, she got up early, like, she made sure that they went out. And I thought there was a lot of comedy there because he has this precious little laserjet printer that she touched, and he freaked out because
it's like, don't touch my printer.
It's a special printer. And then, they go on the hunt and they find the turkey, and the turkey follows them all the way through.
Yeah.
But I thought it was such a great scene where, like, that's not my deer cam. It must be the Texas ranchers.
Yeah.
It's like, don't you own this land? No, we're Indian. We don't own any land.
Yeah. And, like, they go around, like, there's a bunch of cams out there, and they don't know they're out there. It's like, so, like, they're out there, like, messing around, like, pretending to shoot their guns a bunch, and, like, they're, like, dancing and stuff and, like, walking around. And eventually they find one. They actually see it. And they're like, oh, we better delete the evidence because I think it's the only one out there. And they
end up stealing
the camera. And, like, oh, man.
That was a pretty great one. And then, I don't know, you just have a lot of, kind of just scenes like that where they're uplifting and they're, it's a roller coaster of emotions. It truly is, because you have, like, those awesome high notes, and then, like, the next scene could, like, drag you down to the ground. But
yeah, I mean, that's true. But in the beginning, we also failed to mention that, like, these kids are stealing stuff and committing crimes in order to get money for them to make it to California.
Like stealing a chip truck.
And so they stole a chip truck at the beginning of the show, and, like, it was quite the ordeal.
And took it old Sewage Joe, which is a Parks and Rec reference. He plays the exact same character. So if you like Sewage Joe in Reservation Dogs, you will like him in Parks and Rec, and vice versa. If you thought he was pretty weird and odd and funny in Parks and Rec, he is 100% the same person.
Yeah.
In Reservation Dogs, and I think my favorite scene with him is when they fixed the taillight for Bill Burr's. Or when Bill Burr got the taillight shot out, and they went to go fix it, and he's like, "How much do I owe you?" And he's like, "Oh no, we want to make peace. We don't want to make dealings with the Native Americans. We just want peace. But we might accept $20." Yeah. And then his weird, crazy nephew or whatever, and a tip.
Yeah, and then he goes, "I was $40 down." And he said, "If that's what your heart says, we'll take it."
So I'll give you $40. Okay, I guess that's what your heart says.
That's what your heart says. We'll do that. It's so funny.
I just thought that was so great. Like those pieces and the whole the copper wire story and all that stuff. Where you know, the antimicrobial and all that stuff.
Right. I mean, there's too much for us to cover, but like, there's even like other storylines that we're completely missing because like there was so much to the show. Like,
it was very in depth. There was a lot of entanglement of just different,
especially for a show that has like 25-minute like episodes.
Yeah, they're short episodes.
Like, it's probably like 4 hours maybe max, and like it's just full of like in-depth storyline connections back and forth across different storylines. Like, it's amazing how much they put into it.
It's crazy because like the town that they're actually in is like bigger than where I live, but the way that the TV show felt, that every single person in some capacity was intertwined with another person. It wasn't like it was, you know, like a city feel or anything like that. So it kind of made me feel like, you know, like, because around my town, shit, I know your cousin, I know your uncle, I know your dad, your dog, all that stuff. And so it was kind of like that feel to it, that wherever they ran into, they knew everyone there and everyone knew them. And and then they have the deer story that intertwines with it all as well. That it's just, it goes supernatural real quick, but it's like such a subtle supernatural. Like, it's
just
not
barely, and I mean, that's another storyline we didn't even hit at all. It's just like the deer lady and like the Bigfoot or whatever, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
That's like the supernatural part of the show, along with like William Knifeman showing up too, I guess. But like, it's not so outlandish that it's not breaking the story. It's not taking away from it. It's
right.
It's
subtle
hints of it being there and like working with it, which is hard to do, I think, because like a lot of times it takes away from the story or it like completely hijacks the story. But in this, it's just kind of intertwined and just part of it and not pulling away.
Because it feels like you're, you know, you might have to pull in too hard on one side or not, but it's like a subtle backdrop that's in there in a few episodes, but you don't really, I mean, it's not like it's all about it or anything. It's got, it carries on to the story later. Like, it makes like puzzle pieces that were in earlier episodes make sense. And that's why I love this TV show so much, is that, you know, even like the supernatural stuff, it literally like it bridges gaps and like plot hole points. You're like, well, that doesn't make any kind of sense. And then you go later on, you're like, well, that's exactly where it needed to be.
Yep.
And so it's a great story, and it's truly something that you'll need to watch twice. And and they've already been greenlit for a second season, so I'm truly excited to have another season roll out on that one.
Yeah.
I think
because I mean, we didn't even cover like the policeman in town. His name's Big, and he's a light horseman or whatever. And
the light horseman's a whole thing within itself.
And then there's a guy named Brownie that's Allura's uncle, cousin thing, and he's a very interesting character and does all kinds of stuff. And I mean, it's just such an in-depth show that there's just pieces everywhere that are in-depth story, even though they're not this huge amount of time put into them. Yeah. I feel like that's such a difficult thing to do, and they pulled it off tremendously.
Yeah, they definitely made everything work. And they placed everything together, and they made sure that, you know, not one part of the story overtook another part of the story. Like, it was all kind of equally distributed between everything and taken care of and figured out. But it's really something amazing. I would sit down, and it's only like a 20-minute, 25-minute episodes, depending on.
Yeah.
So you can pop in and pop out. You know, you don't have to. Like me, like when I first discovered it, I think we were already like 4 episodes in, so I killed it in one night, and I was like, damn, I gotta wait till Monday till the next episode comes out. So, and I think Forrest ended up grabbing onto it at the very end, so you got to binge it all the way through.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, we watched it twice through, like in the last week, just because I liked it enough to where I was like, let's throw it back on again, because I even saw points of it that I was like, I think I saw something, but I want to watch it again and see if I see it again and see if it's actually there. And it was, and it was like, oh my God, I can't believe it's actually here, because it's things that's like, I would hide something in a show just for people to find it. It's like an Easter egg, and I didn't think it would actually be a thing, but they actually made Easter eggs in the show for us to find.
Oh, they truly did.
And it was just such a cool thing. Because I mean, people have done that in the past, but like they did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
So.
Where and that's the best part is that if you missed it, it wasn't like it was the end of the world. Like it was just, something that you can laugh about or something that you like understand about. Yep. But it's not like it like killed the story because you didn't know that it wasn't there. So.
It's just a fun little thing, little detail
that
you can catch if you're really, really into it. So
yeah. But yeah, so thanks for making it this far in the video. We got our Linktree bio, and so it takes us everywhere. Whether that be our new podcast that we're launching, Historical Potatoes, or it also gets to the piece where if you want to make your own podcast, doing the same thing that we're doing week by week, there is a link in there that'll get you started in, and it shows support for the show, and we can show support to you when you come up with your new one. There's a really easy one in there. It's Honey. You save a bunch of money by going to their websites and having the Honey tab open. That's on there. It'll show support to the show as well, and we'd be super thankful for that piece. Our Twitch streams are in there for our personal streaming content. Make sure that you follow us on as many platforms as possible, or even, like the videos, comment on them so it kind of brings a little bit more traction. Am I missing anything? I'm trying to think.
I think that's a good majority of it.
But yeah, so, whatever you're watching it on now or listening to it now, we have it on all the other platforms. We have it on video with YouTube and Facebook, and we also have it on live with Twitch. So if you want to tune in and watch us on Twitch, then we're there as well. But yeah, so if you have one medium that you found us on, we're definitely everywhere else.
Yep.
Definitely give Historical Potatoes. We just released episode 4. They'll come out on Tuesdays. Rotten Potatoes comes out on Thursdays. But we're very thankful for y'all's support so far. If you got any suggestions for movies or anything like that, feel free to let us know. And tune in next week.
We'll spoil something new. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you later.